I want to go over today 7 different questions I want you to ask yourself as you begin to move into the new year and also assess the previous one. So no matter when you're listening to the show, whatever part of the year you're in, you can always go back and not just assess the last 12 months, but I actually recommend doing this once a quarter. So as part of your 12-week year plan, and if you've never heard about that, of course, we'll link up more shows as to what that is, so you can do this for free. But what it's going to enable you to do is not wait 12 months or not even wait a quarter in order for you to be able to look back and say, okay, here are my wins, here are my losses, here's where I could get better, here's what I'm loving doing, here's what I wish I did less of. And I'm going to take you through those 7 very specific questions in order for you to be able to write these down, and I'm going to leave them in the show notes here today, and answer them. All you're going to need is honestly 5 to 10 minutes to answer these questions, because I want you to give them a little bit more thought later, but I also want them to be gut reactions. So I'm going to give you my gut reactions today as well. I asked myself these same 7 questions. I want you to do the same. First, gut reaction, then look at them again and take a little bit more time. So what I will do, first I'm going to give you gut reaction, then I like when my daughters go to bed around 8 o'clock or so, I like to take around a half hour or so and just relax for the day. And in that time, I'll give myself these questions again and actually say, can I get deeper on this? And I think you'll find actually a deeper level of meaning that you can give to each question. So let's dive right in. The first question I want you to state, over the last quarter or over the last year, what were your wins? Just 1, 2, or 3. Now you can write down as many as you want. That's amazing as well. But what are your big wins? What was your big win over the last year or so? And I can tell you mine. Again, this is just a couple. So it's whatever came to mind. Sometimes it's work. Sometimes it's relationships. Sometimes it's family. It's sometimes overall health, or it could be spirituality, or it could be anything, right? It's any one of those main areas. So for me, right away, what came to mind is that, well, we moved into a new home. And for the very first time, we got to experience what it was like actually having our own home, because we've always lived in condos. We've lived in the city. And so moving out into the suburbs is just different, especially when you've done this for your entire adult life, right? Like I've always lived in Boston, in the city. And so for me, it's quieter. It's more relaxing. You're not always with the hustle and bustle. Now, that's kind of fun. Don't get me wrong. Like that's enjoyable. That's a big part of city life. But instead of walking out, there's, hundreds of thousands of people, you take a walk around your neighborhood and there's like 6 people, right? Like it's just a very different vibe. And so I've really been enjoying that quieter pace with my 2 daughters and my wife. And so that's been really fun. And we just got a new puppy, a new King Charles Cavalier. We've never had King Charles before. Amazing breed. I mean, I have to say is like, I've always grown up with boxers. I've grown up with French bulldogs, or not grown up, but when I was an adult, I always had French bulldogs. My wife and I, we loved it because obviously it was apartment life, right? When you live in a small apartment, you want a smaller dog, they fit better. So I loved those types of dogs. My wife's always wanted a King Charles Cavalier. We got a King Charles, and so far he's only 12 weeks old or so. Amazing, amazing dog. So, and his name's Bocce, if you're wondering, like the little Italian hazelnut chocolate, which is exactly what he looks like. All right, so that was one of the wins. What I would say is this. Another one was being able, after really trying to work on this for quite a while, is implementing. You'd say, well, yeah, you should have done that before, but really fine-tuning and creating a system that I now call high performance health. And I was able to reduce my rate of aging down to 0.69. So essentially, for every year you live, it could be anywhere from like 1.5, so you're aging fast, in 1 year being 1 biological year for every chronological year, which is chronological age is just every birthday you celebrate, right? And then biological age is, well, you don't have to be aging as fast as 1 year, right? Or you could be aging faster. So it's usually between, I think the lowest was, the lowest ever recorded is 0.6, I think. And the highest is around 1.5. So I teach everybody inside of HPH, High Performance Health, that we want to get you below 0.95. That's the goal. And so I've got all sorts of horrible genetic SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, that create massive inflammation in my body. So every day I'm just battling inflammation, just keeping it squelched and down. And well, we'll just put it this way, it worked. So I was able to reduce my biological age by 13 years. So now I'm in my early 30s instead of my mid 40s. And my biological age is now well below the 0.95. As I started above a 1, especially with my specific genotype, and I was able to get that down to 0.69, and it's been consistent. So it's been 0.69, 0.71, I think 0.73, and maybe one for 0.67, but I'm not positive on that. So I'm putting my lowest as 0.69 because that I have obviously confirmed. So that's been a huge win, and I feel it. I mean, I feel better than ever. I really do. And I know that's strange because I keep getting older, but I really do feel great. And so I've just learned also what works for my body. I think that's a big part of maybe maturing, as well as pushing the areas where I can push it, not in the areas where I can't, just understanding my body as well. All right, so the next one is, those are your wins. Fantastic. Well, what are your losses, right? Like, what are some of the things you just didn't do well at? Now, you don't have to be hard on yourself, but it's good to know, like, hey, where did you maybe let yourself down a little bit? Where could you have done better, or things just didn't work out? And that's okay. It happens to all of us. So for me, one of the big things is, we got a home, we moved in the suburbs, amazing, but we're no longer near family. And so a lot of times, at least I would say once or twice a month, we would pop over with cousins, with family, and it was at least once or twice a month. And we don't have that as much anymore. Now, it maybe makes Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and then we go to Maine for the summer that much more special. But I will say that's certainly a loss, and that's a trade-off, unfortunately. And I don't know how that will play out, but we shall see in time. So that was one thing I would say is a loss. And then also, I would say career work-wise, definitely this year, I saw myself overstretched at times, and I saw myself losing patience. And I said to myself, that's not something that I want to ever do or be. I'm not a perfect human being, nor do I pretend to be, but I like to just say, okay, yeah, that's not who I want to be. And I always say, just go to bed early. Tomorrow's a new day, and I would start the next day a new day. But I didn't like that. And so it was one thing that I saw creeping back in, because I used to be a very impatient person. I wouldn't say that no one would confuse me with a very patient person now, okay? Well, I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. But what I would say is this, as I found myself losing patience, and I don't like that side of me. So that's something that I certainly have worked on and will continue to work on. And then just guarding, and I'm going to put that at the end for one of my big takeaways is just making sure to guard that time and that schedule so that I'm not overstretched, and so that doesn't necessarily happen. All right, number 3 is this, and I want you to ask this question yourself as well. What gave you energy? Like, what gave you energy this year? What did you do? What did you spend your time that actually gave you more energy back? And so for me, it's never changed. It was funny when I first started the podcast. I would do this in between patients or wellness clients in my clinic. I would literally say, I don't have a client for this 30-minute period of time. That's where I'm going to fit in today's podcast. And that's how I always did it. But I was always, when I ended the show, and it happens to this day, I'm energized. I don't think that I've ever finished a podcast, even if I do like 2 hours of recordings, where I'm not energized. So that's not the same for everybody. So you kind of have to find out what drives you? Like, what gives you energy? Some people, it's music, it's dance, it's math. Like, literally, it could be anything. I just know that in a lot of people's work and whatever they do, it gives them energy. So you kind of have to find that thing. So that was, for me, was a big one. And then also, I love this system that I have, even if it's only for 30 minutes. So I'll finish my workday, and I work from home now, which I've never done before. So I don't know if that's a win or a loss, by the way. It's just like, it is what it is, but it's different. And so there's no separation anymore. There used to be, I had an office in Boston, and I would always walk home every single day. Like, literally every day. Didn't matter if it was raining, didn't matter if it was snowing. And that was a decompression time. Even if it was only a 10-minute walk, it was still, I switched modes. I went from, doctor, career person, whatever it is, right? Practitioner, integrative health practitioner. Calm, breathe, relax. and then I'm home and I'm either husband or dad, right? Like that made the switch. Now I'm home. I don't have that same switch. So I built a home gym. That was a huge win as well. Love my home gym. I've always wanted to build one. So I built one this year. It only took me 40 something years, right? But I did it and I love it. And so I'll go in there and I'll just work out for 30 minutes. And even if my daughters come in and we're chatting, all that, 30 minutes, and then it's family time. So I have this decompression state for 30 minutes. I could be outside running. I could be inside doing the EWOT or bike. I could be doing a strength training workout. Maybe I'm just doing a sauna, but I'm doing something always after the workday to make that mode switch. And it's worked amazingly well. So I love that as well. That gives me energy for then that next part of my day, because I don't want to be exhausted after a day's work and not have energy for the family. So that kind of gives me that little boost that I love. All right. So the next one was this. What do you wish you would have done over the past quarter or over the past year? I love that question. It's kind of a hard one too. What do you wish you would have done? Because it gets you to admit a little bit that you could have done a little bit more, or at least that something got away. And again, this isn't to be hard on yourself. This one's gotten away from me, not just for the past quarter or 12 months, but the last 5 years. And that's hard for me to admit. I don't like to admit these things sometimes. But I still have not, and I know this is going to make absolutely no sense, and I get it. I totally understand. I have not recorded the Rain Barrel Effect, my book. I have not recorded that as an audio. Do I put out a podcast every single day on the Cabral concept? Yes. Have I put out 2,887 shows? Yes. So when I wrote a book, why would I have not recorded that as a podcast as well? It's a really good question. And many people have asked me that. Is it difficult to record? Not really. Do I want to record it? No. And that's the issue, right? But I'm making it more about me. And here's why. When I write in a certain form and a certain style. When I speak, it's very different. So it's not easy for me to necessarily read the book, to literally sit down and read that book. It's not, especially since I wrote it. I am someone that when I read, and I've explained this before, I do something called photo reading or block reading. And that's how I taught myself to read really quickly. It didn't happen overnight, but that's how I can get through a book in 90 minutes, which I know doesn't make sense, but there are systems and I just learned the systems for how to do this. Now, first of all, it just takes a lot of reading, but then after you've read a lot, you can actually then comprehend and see words and all of these things faster. Regardless, it would be tedious for me to read the book. Having said that, I need to do it. I know I need to do it. It's going to happen. All right. So that's that. That is something I wish I would have done. And we can just apply that now for the past 5 years. So another question is this. Who was there for you? I love this question too, because now you're going back to a little bit of gratitude, right? Not a little bit, hopefully a lot of it. And when I think about this, I think about it in a couple of ways. So, I've shared this with you before, but I'm all in on what I do for what you might call my work. And I'm using that in air quotes because I've done this my entire life and I've done it when I wasn't compensated. I've always done this. It's always what I've loved. And that's because I got sick at 17 years old. So I really didn't know anything else. And I never wanted to do really anything else. When I was a child, I did. I've talked about that many times. I wanted to be an archaeologist. I wanted to be, of course, a sports player like many other kids growing up. But once I got sick, this is all I wanted to do was figure out how to get healthy, how to get well. And then by the time I was 19 years old, I just said, how can I share this with other people? Of course, became a certified nutritionist, became a personal trainer, then became a strength and conditioning specialist, then got into all sorts of modalities, which is like sports conditioning, yoga, anti-inflammatory nutrition plans, all sorts of things. Then integrative health, became a doctor of naturopathy, travel the world doing internships. And so it's never stopped, right? Never stopped. So I say that because there's two people I really lean on. So my wife has always been there for me. She's absolutely amazing. And if I'm ever challenged and ever struggling, she's the one person that I go to. So she's always there. And my daughters, we have an amazing, amazing, amazing relationship. So like we are all completely nuts, the four of us, like completely out of our minds, the four of us, myself, my wife, and my two daughters. But we have a great relationship. We have a great bond. And they're always there for me, and I will always be there for them. But now going back to the other crazy work side is I have an amazing team, and I'm unbelievably grateful for them because we literally ship at-home labs and everything, which has never been done before, to about 27 countries around the world. We help people we have almost 5,000 integrative health practitioners. We've got a media company that puts out the content that I create. I get to read, write, record, and research. That's what I call it. That's what I do all day, every day, all day long. And I work with some private wellness clients. And then I oversee the health coaching. I don't oversee the team. I work on the hard cases, which is great. That's what I love to do. They enable me to do that because they do everything else. They take care of all the operations, all the fulfillment, all the customer support, all the emails. And it's not easy. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people that my team works with. So they're there for me. My family and my extended family, which is my three teams, IHP, Equalife, and then Cabral Wellness or StephenCabral.com, however you want to refer to it. So I appreciate them, more than they know. All right, we have got two more to go. The next one is this. What did you do or what did you not do because of fear? It's a great question. Great question. When I was writing this down, how did I come up with that one? That's a big one. So oftentimes we know what we should do in life, what's going to move us forward, what's going to make us ultimately happier, but we don't do it because of fear. We're worried about fear of success, fear of failure, fear of something. And when I was just thinking about this, again, just gut reaction, what I didn't do that I should have done and have been meaning to do, because I get plenty of people who reach out, is more collaborations. I stopped doing interviews on my podcast about 3 years ago. I stopped really doing a lot of webinars and collaboration projects, even speaking on a lot of other stages right when the pandemic happened, and I never really got back into it. One is my daughters are only young once, and so I want to spend that time with them. I don't want to be away too much. I have my big 12-week year calendar, and I've got the whole year, and I just won't travel for more than 2 to 3 days, once or twice a month. And so, there's reasons why, but I still could do more virtually. I really could. And I believe that I haven't. At first, I just didn't want to travel, family, all those things. But I think it's also going back to one of, the things that maybe was a loss is feeling overstretched. I think out of fear of being more overstretched and then losing my patience, I didn't do more. I didn't do more collaborations. And I think that it's not harmful because I'm not looking to get anything from anyone else. I'm really not. But this is an amazing industry that I'm in. And I have the opportunity to connect with other amazing people and also share their work, learn from them. And I haven't been doing that as much. And so I realized that, I think that I'm worried about overextending myself and just being too stressed. And so I'm just not doing those things. But I think there is a way to do it. I really think that there is. And I'm not going to let that fear hold me back in 2024. So you'll see by the end of the first quarter in 2024, that I'll be doing a lot more collaborations. And all that means is that connecting with other health and fitness experts, bringing them on the Cabral concept, maybe doing more interviews as well, potentially more videos and different things like that. And just being, honestly, just getting to connect with more people in the field. That's really it. That's basically whatever comes of that is amazing, but just connecting with just maybe 1 or 2 more people per month than I had in the past. And I think that would be phenomenal. So I love that. And I'm not going to let that fear of being overstretched and overstressed hold me back. And this goes into the last question, which were, what were my main takeaways from the year? And what I would say is this. So, for me, at least the stage that I'm in, and I don't know that it will ever change, but I only know what I know, is that it's family first. It really is. Like the 4 of us, crazy ones, like I said, we literally are. If anybody ever saw us, we're off the wall. No, two of us are always talking. Two of the other people in my family are always shaking their heads. I won't tell you which two. And I bet you can figure out who one of the people who was always talking is. And it will always be that way. So, that was big. So it's about family. It's understanding that, knowing that I will never regret spending the time that I'm spending right now with family. Okay, that's the first part. But it's also, main takeaway is continue to be rigorous with my schedule. Meaning if you checked out, I believe it was last Monday. Let's see here. It was last Monday, episode 2880. I went through a brand new New Year's goal setting formula. So as I say to you, every podcast it's a deep dive into what's going on in my practice with wellness clients I'm working with, or what the community is asking for questions, or maybe in my own life as well. So what I had to do was create a new 12-week year. And that's why I hope you listen to that show, because it's also based on once you get to a certain level where you're maxed and you're super busy, it's how do you still get done what you want to get done? And I go over exactly what that is. And it's being a little bit more rigorous, as I said, with your schedule. And so making space for what you do want to put in there, and then saying no to things that aren't on that higher priority, at least for the next 12 weeks. Then you can come and revisit them. All right. The second one was this, is that making sure I continue to take time for my health. So I can get caught up with working too hard. I really can. I've always been like that, whether it's sports or school or anything. I just go all in, and I love it. And it's not that I don't, but my genetic makeup is not for that life. It's just not. And again, I've reduced my biological age to 0.69, 13 years younger biological age overall, meaning 0.69 rate of aging, 13 years younger biological age. So it's not that it's not working, it is. But I know mentally that Pitta mindset from Ayurveda, I would love to never sleep, to keep cutting back on those hours and to go, not ideal. So take care of not only my exercise, but my recovery. And so as I get older, I'm just as focused on that recovery as well. All right, and then the last one is this. Main takeaways was one of the ones I just talked about because of FAIR. Scheduling those collaborations. Even if it takes a little bit of travel, go and see people. Go and connect with them. Have great conversations. Go to events. Continue to speak at events. And I think all of those things in the long run, that's what life's really about. It's about great relationships. It's about people. It's about new ideas, and it's about growth. So I'm excited for that for 2024. I hope that you answer these 7 questions. I'm going to leave them for you at StephenCabral.com, episode 2887. Feel free to leave some of those answers in the comments below. I read every single one. I would love to hear from you. Have an amazing rest of the day. Have a fantastic new year as we move into the new year. And as always, if this show is helpful, do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.